Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, Kapila's instruction on the execution of devotional service. Verse number 33. Dhyanayanam prahasitam bahuladaroshta Bhasarunayita tanu dvijatunda panti Dhyayet swadeha truhare vasitasya Vishnor Bhattyardrayarpita manayana pritatta draset. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. With devotion steeped in love and affection, the yogi should meditate within the core of his heart upon the laughter of the Lord Vishnu. The laughter of Lord Vishnu is so captivating that it can be easily meditated upon. When the Supreme Lord is laughing, one can see his small teeth, which resemble jasmine buds, render rosy by the splendor of his lips. Once devoting his mind to this, the yogi should no longer desire to see anything else. Purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is recommended that the yogi visualize the laughter of the Lord after studying his smile very carefully. This particular description of meditation on the smile, laughter, face, lips and teeth all indicate conclusively that God is not impersonal. It is described here in that one should meditate on the laughter or smiling of Vishnu. There is no other activity that can completely cleanse the heart of the devotee. The exceptional beauty of the laughter of Lord Vishnu is that when he smiles, his small teeth, which resemble the buds of jasmine flowers, at once become reddish, reflecting his rosy lips. If the yogi is able to place the beautiful face of the Lord in the core of his heart, he will be completely satisfied. In other words, when one is absorbed in seeing the beauty of the Lord within himself, the material attraction can no longer disturb him. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport.
Kapila, further describing the Ashtanga Yoga process, how the yogi should meditate and what should be his object of meditation. So in today's verse, Kapila is mentioning Dhyanayanam. It is easy to meditate. This is easy to meditate. Ayanam, easily meditated upon. Prahasitam bahuladharoshtha bhasa arunayitha tanudvija kunda pankti. Prahasitam. In the previous verse he talked about hasam harer hasam, the smile. And today, in today's verse, Kapila is talking about not hasam, prahasam, which is not smile, but even laughter. And because of his laughter, bahula prahasitam, and adhara oshtha bhasa arunayitha. Aruna refers to the rising sun, so which is reddish, and because of his reddish lips, bhasa, which is shining, splendorous. Tanudvija kunda pankti, very beautiful description here, that the Lord's dvija, the teeth, are like kunda pankti. They are like the jasmine buds, small jasmine buds. Tanudvija kunda pankti. And on this dhyayet, the yogi should meditate on such laughter of the Lord, which reveals his jasmine bud-like rows of teeth, which is rendered rosy, arunayitha bhasa, because of the splendor of his adhara oshta, because of his reddish lips. Dhyayet swadeha kuhare, in the heart, kuhare, in the heart of his own self, in his own body. Avasitasya Vishnu, Vishnu who is residing in the heart of the yogi, on that Vishnu who laughs and reveals his row of tiny teeth, like the kunda pankti, like the jasmine buds, the yogi should meditate upon. And how he should meditate upon? On Vishnu in his heart, bhaktya adrayarpitha manaha. Bhaktya, ardrya, ardra means moistened or dampened, which means with tears. Arpitha manaha. Bhaktya ardrayarpitha manaha. He should meditate. That's why Prabhupada is saying, with devotion steeped in love and affection. It's not some kind of a mechanical meditation. Bhaktya ardrayarpitha mana and na prathak didrikshet. Didrikshet, to desire to see. Na prathak didrikshet, he should not desire to see anything else. Or, as Srila Prabhupada is saying, if one has seen this beauty of Vishnu, one will not be attracted to anything else in this material world. So, dhyanayanam prahasitam. With devotion steeped in love and affection, bhaktya ardrayarpitha manaha, the yogi should meditate, dhyayet, within the core of his heart, swadeha kuhare, upon the laughter of Lord Vishnu, prahasitam. The laughter of Vishnu is so captivating that it can be easily meditated upon, dhyanayanam, because it's very captivating. When the Supreme Lord is laughing, one can see his small teeth, tanudvija, which resemble jasmine buds, kunda pankti, rendered rosy, arunayitha, by the splendor, bhasa, of his lips, adhara oshta. Once devoting his mind to this, mana arpita, the yogi should no longer desire, na prathik didrikshet, desire to see anything else. And Srila Prabhupada has also described some interesting points in the purport. This verse, Prabhupada points out, conclusively establishes two things. One is that absolute truth is a person. And the object of meditation is that absolute person. That absolute truth, personality of Godhead. Because very commonly, people talk about meditation on some void, on some impersonal truth, and they try to empty the mind. All of these kind of ideas exist. This is simply because people are not referring to standard Vedic literatures. People are not referring to standard instructions given by the realized acharyas. They are speculating. Or they are following others who are speculating. This is the sad part. How to look at all of these ideas given in the Vedic literatures. They don't follow the standard methods. If we see carefully in this chapter, if we think about Ashtanga Yoga, this whole chapter is Ashtanga Yoga. Right? Kapila describing to his mother how to do meditation and all of that. But this is in the Bhagavata. Bhagavata is about devotion. So how do we relate all of this? So Prabhupada helps us to understand in the very first verse purport Prabhupada mentions, this chapter is going to describe about Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is therefore part of Vaishnava practice because its ultimate goal is realization of Vishnu. The goal of Ashtanga Yoga is realization of Vishnu. And in different places in this chapter, Kapila has mentioned, in the 6th verse, Kapila mentioned, Vaikuntha Leela Abhidhyanam Samadhanam Tathatmanaha. Vaikuntha Leela, he is talking about Vishnu's pastimes. If you say, Lord, he smiles, he laughs, and he has a beautiful face, he has beautiful teeth, does that indicate that the Lord has no form? Does it indicate that the Lord is impersonal? That the object of meditation should be impersonal? It's very, very clear. And again in the 19th verse, Kapila mentioned, Prekshaniya ihitam dhyayet shuddha bhavena chetasa. Prekshaniya ihitam. Ihitam means pastimes. The Lord who performs prekshaniya ihitam, very enchanting pastimes he performs. So this should be the object of meditation of the yogi. So to get this kind of a proper understanding of the Vedic literature, in Western world, scholars have developed a kind of a study known as hermeneutics. Scholars talk about hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the methodology of interpreting. It began in the biblical texts, but then it's generally applied. Methodology of interpreting wisdom literature and philosophical texts. How do we make sense about all of these things? This is true especially about Vedic literatures, because Vedic literatures are very vast. There is worship of devatas and worship of performance of various austerities, sacrifices. Varieties of ideas are there. So how do we make sense out of all of this? This is a very big challenge. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hermeneutics, his methodology of interpreting, was described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally to Rupa Goswami for 10 days when Rupa Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag. So for 10 days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals how to understand all of these Vedic literatures and instructs him. And soon after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to Varanasi, to Kashi. And there, for 2 months, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami. So these two, Rupa and Sanatana, were personally instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about how to understand all of the Vedic literatures. Very rigorously, very, very sensitively, very carefully, how to make sense of all of these instructions was described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In another place, Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavatam purport, for every item in the yoga system, there is a parallel activity in Bhakti Yoga. But the practice of Bhakti Yoga is easier for this age. That is the advantage. So Ashtanga Yoga is also part of the process of realization of the absolute truth. It is to understand, realize Vishnu. And Bhakti Yoga, this Ashtanga is part of the Vaishnava tradition of understanding and realizing Vishnu. In fact, from dhyana, you move to bhakti, that is the next level. Or dhyana, when it intensifies, it is bhakti, like it is describing here, bhaktya ardrayarpita manaha. And very interestingly, for describing all of these, for properly seeing all of the Vedic literatures in the light perspective, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Vedic, most important Vedic reference is Srimad Bhagavatam itself. And Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by whom? Shukadev Goswami, who is described as, because the debate and the discussion is about what is the nature of the absolute truth. What is the truth about the absolute, ultimate truth? What is the nature of the absolute truth? So, whether it is impersonal or personal. So, to settle that discussion, Veda Vyasa, in his final Vedic literature, the main protagonist, the main speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam is Shukadev Goswami. And who is Shukadev Goswami? Parinishtithopi nairgunya. Parinishtitha. Parinishta means, nishtha means very fixed. Parinishta means especially fixed. In what? In nairgunya. In the impersonal realization. Shukadev Goswami, who was very firmly fixed in impersonal realization, he is describing what happened to him, his own personal experience. Parinishtithopi nairgunya uttama shloka leelaya gruhita chetha rajarshe. Rajarshi, this is Shukadev Goswami's, his own words. I was firmly established in nairgunya, in impersonal realization. But, although I was firmly established, gruhita chetha, something attracted me. The principle is, something higher attracts us. Right? People who have no money, even for them, 100 rupees is very attractive. Somebody who has got lakhs of rupees, crores of rupees is attractive. So something higher attracts us. That's the important principle. So here, Shukadev Goswami is parinishthitopi nairgunya. He's saying parinishthitopi. Although I was very firmly established in nairgunya, when I heard uttama shloka leelaya, when I heard about the pastimes of Krishna, grihita chetha, my chetha was drawn. Grihita chetha rajarshe akyanam yad aditavan. And hence, this description of uttama shloka leela, akyanam, this elaborate description, yad aditavan, I began to study very carefully from my father. The father began to teach him, my Veda Vyasa began to teach him, and I very carefully learned that from my spirit, from my father. So, this is a very interesting way how Veda Vyasa establishes that how higher than the Nirguna Tattva is the Krishna Tattva. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And here particularly it is mentioned that such, because here, na prithak didrikshet, and when a yogi is attracted to this, he is no more interested, it desires to see anything else, because he has seen the greatest. This is very much in line with what Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. Yam labdhva chaparam labham na manyate nadhikam manyate tataha. When one has realized Vishnu, he realizes, he understands that there is no greater gain. Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha. Adhikam manyate na adhikam tataha. There is nothing higher than this. And hence, he is no more attracted to anything else in this material world or in anything in this spiritual world, because he is now attracted to the highest supreme object. Na prithak didrikshet. And here particularly it is mentioned bhaktya ardraya arpita mana. How the yogi's mind has now become saturated, steeped in love with affection for the Lord. And for this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami. These are the different things that practitioners of Vedic literature, Vedic religion, or for that matter any religion in the world, practitioners look upon. What do they seek? One is bhukti. One is more enjoyment and pleasures of this world. So that's one aspect of religion, and that is the predominant aspect of religion all over the world. Bhukti. Bhukti means more enjoyment, more happiness in this world, have good life, family, children, property, and name and fame. All of these things will make me happy. But actually, they won't make us happy. They're all temporary. Bhukti. And when one is tired of this, one thinks of mukti. I want to become freed from all these things and merge into Brahman. So that is mukti. And another next one is siddhi. Or they do Ashtanga Yoga, but not properly guided as Kapila is describing. But instead think of, I must acquire some special powers. Various kinds of powers, that siddhi that comes about by miraculous and magical powers. So they aspire that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami. These are all the different things that a person practicing religious life desires. Subuddhi Yadihaya. But suppose he comes in touch with a pure devotee, and Subuddhi Yadihaya, if his intelligence becomes purified, Ghada Bhakti Yoge Tabe Krishnere Bhajaya. What is important here is, if one Subuddhi Yadihaya, Ghada Bhakti Yoge, not just Bhakti Yoge, it is intense Bhakti Yoge. Gadha, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, Yajeta Purusha Param. Bhagavatam Shukadev Goswami also says that. Similar thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taking up this and saying, Ghada Bhakti Yoge Tabe Krishnera Bhajaya. With intense devotion, he worships the Lord. So, in the same way here we see this kind of a bhaktya ardrayarpita manaha. So, we read about the Goswamis, we read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how they did very intense bhajana, intense devotion. Even Srila Prabhupada, when he was staying, he always did, and particularly before he went to the West and established the Krishna consciousness movement, when Srila Prabhupada always said that near the bhajan kutir of Rupa Goswami, that is where he did intense bhajana. So intense devotional service is actually the important practice that as devotees, as sadhakas, we must do. Intense, the chanting that we do, the devotional services that we do, the kirtans and the arati, in all of that, there should be a certain amount of intensity. Ghada bhakti yoge tabe krishnera bhajaya. So this is the kind of a bhakti, this is the kind of a meditation steeped in love and affection for the Lord, which is actually a very important aspect of Bhakti Yoga. And now, in the Bhakti Yoga that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, further goes beyond Vishnu in the understanding of who is Vishnu, who is Krishna, what is the difference. And for that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches the framework of rasa. In all of this bhakti, there is something known as rasa, and what are the different rasas, and that is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu establishes who is Krishna and what is the bhakti to Krishna. So these are all very, very interesting, very profound topics, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu develops these things in a very systematic way, and Srila Prabhupada has presented what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught over 10 days to Rupa Goswami, what he taught over 2 months to Sanatan Goswami. All of those kind of conclusions Srila Prabhupada has presented in simple English language that we can practice and understand and appreciate. So we are very fortunate that we are blessed with this kind of a conclusive understanding of all of the Vedic literatures. Otherwise, people are confused. What is the goal of the yoga? What is the goal of the Vedas? What is the goal of all these things? Here we get complete and conclusive understanding given by Srila Prabhupada. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.